Good morning students. In this video lesson we will study more about the population interactions. So the first one under the category of population interaction today is parasitism. It is the mode of interaction between two species in which one species, which is known as parasite, depend on the other species known as host for food and shelter. And in this process, the parasite damages the host. In the process of parasitism, one organism is benefited, that means the parasite is benefited, while the other is being harmed, that means the host is being harmed under this process. Parasites and host, both of them have a tendency to co-evolve. Usually the parasites are host specific. So what is the meaning of co-evolve here? Co-evolve means that if the host evolve a special mechanism to reject or resist the parasite has to evolve the mechanism to neutralize the effect of host. So there are certain adaptations which are present in the parasite, that is the loss of unnecessary sensory organs or sense organs, tendency to co-evolve, presence of adhesive organ like sucker or hooks, loss of the digestive system, and high reproductive capacity. These are the certain characteristics which makes any living organism or help any living organism to become a parasite. The life cycle of some parasites are complex, where one or more intermediate host or vector is present to facilitate the process, such as the human liver fluke depend on two intermediate hosts, that is a snail and a fish, to complete its life cycle. Similarly, malarial parasite known as Plasmodium needs a vector mosquito to complete its life cycle. Majority of the parasites harm the host by reducing the survival, growth and reproduction of the host. They reduce its population density by making it physically weak. Parasites may be of two types, ectoparasite and endoparasite. Ectoparasite are the parasites which live or feed on the external surface of the host organism for food and shelter, such as lice on human, ticks on dog, and cuscuta in plants. Similarly, endoparasites are the parasites which live inside the host body at different sites like liver, kidney, lungs, for food and shelter. For example, tapeworm, liver fluke and Plasmodium. The phenomena in which one organism known as parasite lays its egg in the nest of another organism is known as brood parasitism. Brood parasitism is a very commonly and frequently asked question of board examination. Next interaction is commensalism. It is referred to as the interaction between two species where one species is benefited and the other is neither harmed nor benefited. Some examples of commensalism are as follows. An orchid growing as an epiphyte on a mango tree. The orchid gets shelter and nutrition from the mango tree, while the mango tree is neither benefited nor harmed. Barnacles growing on the back of whale. Barnacles are benefited to move to location for food as well as shelter, while the whales are neither benefited nor harmed. Third is ergates. The ergates are in close association of grazing cattle. The cattle ergates are benefited by the cattle to detect its insects because cattle stir up the bushes and insects are flushed out from the vegetation to be detected by the cattle ergots. Next is the commensalism is also found between sea anemone and the clownfish. It is a very common example which is frequently asked in the board examination. The fish is protected from predators and sea anemones are neither benefited nor harmed. So most of the questions that come in the board examination are based on the example. They do not ask the direct question like what is commensalism, give one example of commensalism or mutualism or parasitism. They simply say that the clownfish is living along with the sea anemone. What kind of interaction is present between them? So these kind of questions are asked in the board examination, which is completely based on the examples. Another is mutualism. It is referred to as the interspecific interaction in which both the interacting species are benefited from each other. Some examples of mutualism are lichen, which represent the close association between fungus and photosynthetic algae or cyanobacteria, where the fungus help in the absorption of nutrient and provide protection while algae or cyanobacteria prepares the food. Another example of mutualism is mycorrhiza, in which mycorrhiza are close mutual association between fungi and roots of the higher plants, where fungi helps the plant for absorption of nutrient while the plants provide food for the fungus. Mutualism is also found in plant-animal relationship. Plants take the help of animal for pollination and dispersal of their seed, and animals are rewarded in the form of nectar or edible pollens or oviposition. That means a site for laying egg. The male bee pseudocopulates with it, and during this process of pseudocopulation, the pollen grains are dusted on the body of male bees. With such pollen dust, male bees pseudocopulate to another flower of the same species and pollination take place. So these are the few examples of mutualism. Last type of population interaction is amensalism. It is referred to as the interaction between two different species in which one species is harmed and the other is neither benefited nor harmed. For example, the mold Penicillium secrete penicillin which kill the bacteria, but the mold is unaffected. So here are certain questions in which you have to find out the interaction between the species. So first one is Cuscuta growing on a shoe flower plant. So the type of interaction present between Cuscuta and shoe flower is parasitism. Another is mycorrhiza, which is living on the roots of higher plants, which we have done in the previous slide, that is mutualism. Third is the clownfish living among the tentacles of the sea anemone, that is commensalism. Quail laying her egg in crow's nest. This is an example of brood parasitism where one organism lays its eggs in the nest of another organism. 5 closely related species of warblers living on a same tree. That is a competition with resource partitioning. That is an example of resource partitioning. So these are the few examples which are frequently asked in the board examination. I remind you again that all these questions and all this interaction along with their each and every example is very important as per the perspective of board examination.